Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today, a bit special, I'm out on location with my good friend Mark Byford, the Bowler Hat Farmer. Hello Mark.
Richard, as ever, a pleasure to see you, sir.
We are in what was a gloriously sunny Suffolk.
Very glorious at 4 o'clock this morning.
Until our friends up there in the aeroplanes, they're not really our friends, started spraying the skies. But I wanted to come to see that what you've been working on, we've been talking about, and you've been sending me pictures. Basically your mobile, although not necessarily mobile, but it is mobile.
It is mobile.
Farm shop that your village here has just basically fallen in love with.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we were kindly given the site via Ray, who owns the farm, as you know. You've met Ray several times now. He is very keen about the community. And obviously that's something we now know Richard is very much missing from the lifestyle we have. And as a result of, there's no shop in this village, there's no shop in any of the neighbouring villages or the neighbouring villages, so you have to drive to a town to find a shop. So once we said about this, I said to Ray, it'd be great to run a little shop. They came up with the idea of building this on a trailer.
Right.
So it falls outside the planning permission because it's mobile, and we can obviously stock it full of local stuff. So as much as anything, this is going to become, as we move forward especially, very much a food hub, which will be selling locally produced, whether that's fruit and veg products. You know, within a few miles now, most of the fruit and veg is coming into us at this time of year. The bread and cakes and the fudge and different things, milk and so forth, are only from a few miles away. So for us, this is about bringing the local produce to a point and selling it to the local community.
And what I love about this is that you've circumnavigated the planning authority. You can hear the cars, by the way, all arriving, ready to use the farm shop. Here we go, look, an interloper coming in.
Right, mate.
You can see that this is a busy. There's also an event going on at the farm as well. But people are coming to use this, and this is something that all villages, small towns, even bigger towns, can start thinking about.
Absolutely. It wasn't particularly difficult to put together. Ray kindly built the shed on the trailer. You know, there's an expense to that, obviously. For us, I'm in the fruit and veg wholesale trade, so for me it was easy for me to get the stock. But the biggest thing, Richard, in all of this has been the godsend is the public have not even embraced it. They've jumped all over it, accepted it, loved it, run with it, and it's just been emotional, to be honest. You know, when you get people, you know, at 5 o'clock at night, you know, when they've thought, oh, I just got to get dinner ready and I don't know what to do, and they can just come up here. Yeah. It's self-service. They look after themselves.
It's not manned, is it?
No. We don't man it. So from our side, you know, we're in the position that we're bringing local produce to local people when they want it.
Yes.
And that's the thing, you know. So, you know, this isn't a case of, oh, I've got to drive, you know, half an hour drive to the supermarket and back. This is a case where I can just pop in here, you know, people walking from all over the village and neighbouring villages drive in, and just, they've embraced it, and it's just fantastic.
And I mean, we have seen over the last 20, 30 years, village shops, all those village small run businesses, family run, sole trading businesses being either bought out or forced out by the big supermarkets, by the big corporations. And now I feel we're at the beginning of reversing that process.
I'd agree. I think from my side, Richard, as we move forward with the shop in the forthcoming year, the big thing's going to be, and for me on my talks, is going to be talking about, and I know you've covered this several times, it's about the wholesomeness of food. Yeah. And actually getting people to understand what's involved in having a bowl full of food. You know, this isn't a case of, oh, I'm full. Yeah. I must have had the goodness I had out of the bowl. Right. Because, you know, we can go and get chicken drummers and everything else out of a supermarket, which then, you know, 10 minutes later you're hungry again, and it's not done you no good at all. Exactly. You know, so what I'm talking about is, you know, as you and other people have spoken about, and I know that you were with Barbara O'Neill this year. Yeah. And we've been learning so much from her, and that's kind of made me think a bit more about what I want to do with this side and the kind of products we want to stock, because we are lucky. Yes, we're in the middle of a village, but we also have a lot of followers that will drive the distance because this is the type of food they want to buy. Yes. So, and I think as you know, as the audiences are growing and more people are waking up and more people are becoming aware of just how dangerous supermarket food is to them long term, that's where we can win, and that's, you know, to be that supplier to the people. And this must be good news for farmers who have fields
and you know, a corner of field that is bordering on a small town or a village, and think, actually, yeah, I could just rent that out or give it to a local community who want to run a basic shop like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from our side, Ray kindly gifted this to us, you know, the site here, you know, for us to be able to use. We set that up inside a CIC, a community, so a community interest company. So we've set up the Community Interest Foundation as a CIC, and that has got the land over there where we're going to be doing some talks today, and that is growing food that is then sold here in the village, and the local community can get involved in that food being grown to sell here to the other members.
And that just comes back to local, locally produced, seasonally produced, organic, or as near to organic as you can be. You can't get better than that.
No, and I think the thing is, as we're starting to understand, we've been guided in our life, and we're a similar age, you know, we've been guided down this road of what we think is acceptable and what we think is the normal now.
Yeah.
And I want to kick everything back against that. I know yourself, you do as well, Richard. This is something where we're fortunate on the farm here, because Ray is very much about old style of farming, and you know, he's got the steam engine out today, and we're going to do some thrashing later.
But this is brilliant though, because I just think people like Ray, who got the land and perhaps a bit of money to be able to buy up some of the old engines and equipment from the old days, really shows where our roots were and what farming was about and what it should be about. Rather than just the stuff that's done in very big fields, industrialised, and ordinary everyday people never see it. They don't know where their food comes from.
No, I think there lies two key points. One, they don't know where the food comes from, so we don't know what's going in it.
Yeah.
So we don't know how it's grown, where it's grown. You know, so much stuff is coming in from overseas now, especially from China.
Yeah.
That's coming into the UK, goes through UK pack houses, and that is just everything against what I believe in.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, I'm struggling at the moment with working the wholesale side, because I'm having to sell stuff that I don't agree with anymore. So, you know, and that to me is becoming a problem. So for me, this is kind of my next progressive step, as to, and especially with the we've just launching the bowlerhatfarmer.com, and with that we're going to launch this wholesome food site and look at that as something that we can develop and grow with what the community needs. You know. And I say community as in not just locally here with this, the community as a whole of people who follow us, and you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because one thing we've found is that the challenge within the industry is that the supermarkets have such control over the food chain, and we're not just talking about the shop side of it, the wholesale side, the growing side, the production side, everything is ruled under their control.
Yes.
So what this is about is to encourage startups, and especially through the CIC, because we can help fund startups, that they'll then be in a position that they can come to us for funding, produce a product that we can sell, and it gives us our own chain to be able to develop.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've spoken about is one of the things, see, this is where it's so exciting. You know, people are coming and going, they're looking to where to park, they'll be going to the event that's going on and coming back and picking up food. We were talking about, you've got a mate who's a butcher.
Yep.
And one of the big problems at the moment is there's not enough abattoirs.
Yes.
And also there's abattoirs that you might send your animals off, but you don't know where the same animals are coming back and what's in it.
Yes. That's a major issue, I have to say, a major issue. So from our side, you know, we don't produce any meat here on the farm at present. We've got some gobble gobbles on at the moment. But where do you draw the line on what meat you want to produce? Certainly moving forward, we're going to have some pigs. Yeah. That's definitely on the cards. Ray has already agreed to that. And then, you know, we'll have to send them off to an abattoir, hope that's the same meat what ends up with Joe for Joe to send back to us. And that to me is a big issue, because you end up with the problem that you have to have that abattoir really on site. Yeah. And they're against mobile abattoirs vigorously. Yeah. And to me, that's the ideal thing.
Because they don't want us to have control. They want the control. They can decide.
Absolutely. And they don't want us to have the quality food we want. Or need. More importantly, because you know as well as I do, Richard, the iller we are, the more they can benefit. Yeah. You know, so.
And meat, cows, beef, is under such an attack at the moment. And that is something that is really worrying a lot of farmers.
Absolutely.
Because they've got TB tests, which are a bit like the PCR tests, over searching for something that may not be the problem that
absolutely they are so flawed it's untrue. It's the TB tests, we've seen it with swine flu and everything else over the years. It's completely flawed how they test, and that has the ramifications on tens of thousands of animals being destroyed as a result of what they believe might be the case. And the vets are only going by the tests they're given, so the vets are not necessarily at fault here, I will say, but it's how it's stacked up against.
I'm just going to move you over here so we don't lose you from the frame.
It's very much the system is so corrupt,
yes,
that even good people are forced to work inside that system, and that's the scary bit.
Absolutely, and their jobs are on the line.
Yep.
If they don't, and we know that, and they know that, and people watching there may well be in that profession going, you're talking so right, but what can I do? I've got a family, I've got
Absolutely.
a mortgage, and so, under the thumb. We ought to go and have a look inside, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's do it.
And show the viewers what the farm shop really looks like from the inside.
Absolutely.
So here we are. This is the interior.
Yes.
And when you're in, you don't think that you're on a trailer. That's the crazy thing. It is a shop.
Yeah. And the great thing is, we've got electric on site, so we've got the fridges and so forth inside. But just to give you an idea, Richard, so from in the shop, all of these are made in Norfolk. The fruit juice is made just a couple of miles across the way. The tomato juice, Norfolk. We've got the crisps come from Norfolk, the popcorns, Norfolk. We've got loads and loads. All this stuff is all either grown or packed locally. All the bread and cakes is made just down the road in Bury St Edmunds. All the veg is all local. So what we're trying to do here, as I said earlier, is bring this back. I mean, we've got an old boy who lives in the village, just to give you an idea. Wants to cut. That's all he wants to do. He's a retired guy. Charges me a little bit.
Cuts up kindling.
Cuts up kindling. We stick it in here for the customers. Customers buy it. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And this is the problem we've ended up with in my belief, is that you go to a supermarket these days to achieve one thing.
Yes.
And that's just to fulfill a requirement.
Yeah.
You don't go there because you meet anybody or greet anybody. I always laugh because we've obviously got cameras in here, and sometimes it will ding and I'll check the cameras, and you might have 6 or 7 people here all just chatting.
Yeah.
And that is no longer in the community because we don't have a shop.
Well, they've taken the tills away, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's all artificial stuff. There's camera. I mean, you've got a camera here, just one camera. But yeah. I mean, I know that Morrison's now had cameras on every shelf.
On every shelf, yeah.
And who wants to be surveilled?
Oh no, it's not there for that, Richard. It's there to check stock.
Oh, of course it is. Of course.
We know that.
and here it's about loyalty and honourability, because
Absolutely.
you've just got a little, obviously bolted down, but you've got a cash box there.
Yep.
And, people could come in and just take stuff, but because it's their farm shop,
absolutely,
it's their community they're protecting.
One of the things which we're going to do this year is make it more about that as well, to get the community actually involved in the growing of the stuff, the producing of the stuff, and putting it into the shop, and then looking after the shop. Because, just to give you an idea, I'm a busy person, so I'm always out and about. And if someone comes in and finds something that they don't think's right, they'll take it off the shelf and put it in the bin.
Right.
I don't have to worry about that because they police it themselves. I was just talking to 2 of the people who just arrived, and they were saying that they came down the other day and they spent 20 minutes in here just having a bit of a tidy up for me. and that to me is what makes this work.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got a sign there saying, have a great day. And it's so welcoming. And if it's in your area. So this is a template, really, for many other people to do.
Yeah, and I think that the bolt onto this is realistically the food hubs, and taking this to a next level where people can place an order for stuff and get that, whether they deliver it, collect it, whatever that might be, and get local butchers on board, local bakers on board, local growers, producers, farmers on board. And a lot of people like Ray here, that have gone from growing acres and acres and acres of wheat, barley, sugar beet, whatever that might be, and now going, well, actually, we could put that little bit of a field down, or I could rent that out to someone to grow vegetables, and that's now happening a lot across the country.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that. So this, to me, is the next progressive thing people could do. Build a shed on a trailer, get around a lot of the planning issues, get there, serving people. If this shop takes a couple of £1,000 a week, then that's, £100,000 a year that the supermarkets don't take, Richard.
Absolutely, and that's the key. And I mean, farmers have always been told that these days they need to diversify, but they're diversifying into all sorts of non-food things, and we know about the solar farms and all of that. This is something that farmers can just get a grip on, and it puts them back into, instead of growing commodities that go off and they never see what happens to their product. Here they're seeing people enjoying the product, and it reminds them what they're doing.
What a great difference that makes. You know, when you like saying, when you send off a trailer load of wheat, that's the end of it.
You don't know whether it's
no idea
going into beer or if it's not good enough and
absolutely.
It's gone into
pig food, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
We've got no idea. But as a grower, you want to produce something. You know, so we've got some of the best producers in the world in this country, and they're just being slaughtered to the ground on a daily basis. You know, I ran on with the campaign No Farmers, No Food, and that's been one of the most crucial points to all of this. Is where do we eat from when the farmers have gone? And we're losing farmers at such a rate. It's scary. You know, we've been down to Swindon with yourself and met John, who runs the dairy farm down there, and
Doris Dairy,
and proper milk and so forth.
Raw milk.
And that's what we need. We just need a few brave people who are prepared to put their head above the parapet and go, no, this is what we need to do, and run with it. You know, and yes, we're going to have challenges with authority, without a doubt, along the way, but we need to step up as a group, collectively, as a village, a community, a town, and go, no, this is what we want.
And when you taste the quality and what it's doing to your body, there's no way back to those supermarkets.
No, and I'll give you an example of that, Richard. The fudge we've got up here, this is produced just about 4 villages away by a friend of mine, Adrian. Him and his family produce that. And where it's normally sugary and lumpy, and this is just melts in your mouth, you know, and that's the difference. You know, you're not talking about bulk produced fudge, what you can, you know, go and get in any shop. This is something which is it's handmade, not made by machines. It's handmade, you know, by someone who actually knows and understands the job. You know, like farmers used to understand the job.
They did. And they lived for it.
Absolutely.
It was a way of life. It wasn't an industry that was just about the bottom line.
No, and that is sadly where we've been pushed to through the supermarket supply. You know, if you look at how funding for farmers used to come from the government or EU, whatever it used to be, in subsidies, it used to be to make sure that the centrepiece in between the farmer and the customer was kept cheap. So the farmer would be subsidised to produce that. But what's actually happened is all that subsidy ended up with the supermarkets, so they've been allowed to build huge, vast interests across the country, you know, and bankrupting farms in the meantime, taking them over, and then selling off parcels of their land for housing and so forth. And that is where we need to draw this all the way back from, and to get people, the public, need to understand just the importance isn't just about having this as somewhere to buy food. This is about the community. This is about local people being able to produce something to sell locally, to keep cash alive. There's so much involved in this, you know, and you think it's a wooden shed. We're the best one in the world, but look at what it achieves for our local community.
I know. Simple. So, it always goes back to that same thing. Keep it simple.
Absolutely. I think that's where this side of things, for me, is the excitement. And you know, you can get people passionate about being involved in this, because they can remember what it used to be like to have a village shop. I mean, one thing, Rich, I get a classic. We have a little book where everybody writes down what they have and they put the money in the tin, right? I come in here some days and there'll be a note in there, you know, I called in to do my shopping, Mark, I didn't have any cash on me, I owe you £10.50, Bob. And then I'll come in 3 days later, it's crossed out and signatured, and there's £10.50 extra in the till. You know, and I got a note the other week, we never ever sold sweets in here, because I was always adamant, you know, we're going to sell that kind of crap. So I found a supplier who would produce some sweets, what I wanted, and that came about because the kids kept writing in the book. The kids who come in shopping from the village kept writing in the book, please, Mr. Shopkeeper, can we have some sweets?
So
they
amazing.
got some sweets, you know, and it's like, and I used to say, laugh at the kids, I said, just eat more fruit and veg. They want some sweets, but that came about through that. So that gives back to the public what they're asking for, and that's something you don't go to the supermarket and say, oh, listen, is there any chance you could just stick this on the shelf for me?
And if you're a penny short in a supermarket, you can't buy it. You know, you remember the old day when they said, oh, look, you know, call it, round it up to such and such or whatever. But now it's like, oh, you haven't got a penny for, you know, if it's 51p and you've only got 50p. Here you've got that community ease of give and take. And also, I mean, finally, I suppose, if you live near the places that are producing the food, you know the quality of that's coming in. People are effectively having quality control because you'll know what's not being sold.
Yes.
And if someone's supplying you and it's going, well, no one's buying it, you say, well, you might want to up the quality of it.
Yeah, from our side, we're quite fortunate to say people do police it. Then the other side of it is, from our side, we normally sell out in the course of a day.
Right.
So everything's replenished daily.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like a big supermarkets where they've got shelves and shelves and shelves of
With
stuff.
lorries coming
in
and
out all the time. They don't really know if it's been turned over, and we don't have that.
How long has it been here?
I think we're on about month 6.
So look at that, from month 0 to month 6, what you've achieved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And now that other farmers actually who come in here to shop are going, oh, could I, if I grow some, if I grew this, could I sell it in the shop? Or
exactly.
If we've got a cow going off, could we get our beef put in here? Absolutely. That's what this is about. This is about the community coming together and the community understanding that this is theirs. It's not mine. It's not Ray's. This is on Ray's farm, and yes, I'm the one who stocks the stock in here, but it belongs to them.
Yeah.
That's the power of it, and I think that's where thousands of these could spring up across the country.
They need to.
Yeah.
They really need to.
We need to take it back from the supermarkets 100%.
Yeah. Mark, thank you so much for showing me. I know you've sent me pictures, you've spoken about it. Bowlerhatfarmer.com.
Yeah, the bowlerhatfarmer.com.
Do check that out. And if you like what you see, get in touch, of course. And maybe in your area, there is an opportunity and you talk to the right people. And who knows, we can take this country back to where we want it rather than where the corporates have taken it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching.
Have a great day.